Welcome to We're Listening to Podcast, a community where all voices are heard. I'm your host, Rob Cook. Join me for a lighthearted show about the human experience with live conversations, discussions, and interviews of some of the newest to the most established 3P practitioners from all over the world. So no matter if you've known the 3 principles for years or you're new to Daily Insights, we hope each episode will inspire you to demonstrate a community where all voices are heard. Welcome to today's episode. Hello. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Before we get into it, I wanted to talk about something that's upcoming, really to start the excitement and to start people to get planning around it. And that's the kickoff to the 50th anniversary celebration that we're going to have for 2023. All right, so 2023 will mark the 50th year in which Sydney Banks had his first enlightening experience. And we're going to have a host of different programs and things going on during the whole year just to celebrate that and have people remember why it is that we believe Sydney Banks and his work, the 3 principles, are still relevant to helping humans heal from suffering. But to kick that off, we're doing a book exploration. Yes, all 6 books that he wrote throughout his life. So that's Second Chance, Quest of the Pearl, Missing Link, Enlightened Gardener, Dear Liza, and Enlightened Gardener Revisited. We're going through all of them, we meaning the 3PGC, the board, but with students who were there during the time in which he was writing it. So it's an 18-week program. It's one that you really want to get to be a part of because it's going to launch us into next year when we do a host of different things to celebrate this remarkable understanding known as the 3 principles. So please check it out on 3pgc.org. I love you. And again, welcome to today's episode. Welcome, everyone, to an amazing episode. A friend, a colleague. I'm so excited. This is one of those long time coming and glad it's finally here. But everybody, I want you to give a warm round of applause, make some noise, cheer, jump up and down, turn a cartwheel, do whatever you like. But everybody, welcome to the show. Jasmyne. Hello.
Hey, Rob.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm excited about this. We've talked about this for, sometimes, but after we were speaking the other day, it was like the things you're doing. It's like, wait, let's tell the world now, Let's tell the world. And since we do have you here, I don't do bios, so you'll have to, tell the audience, the listeners who you are. But I do want to take a second before that to just say thank you because you were the person to help me put all this together to get the podcast out. And here we are, episode 87, 87 consecutive weeks of putting them out. And you showed me how to do that. So thank you, from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of the listeners' hearts, we thank you. But with that, knowing that you do stuff like that, kind of how would you say you show up in the world?
How do I show up in the world? I love to shine the light on people. That's what I like to do, and I know how to do it. So I love it when I'm talking to somebody who's trying to do something and they're up to something in the world. I just love to say, okay, well, here's how we're going to do it, and then I just co-create it with them and then I just put it out there and then we just build from there. That's the part that I love to do. I love to create. I'm a major creator. I've always been a major creator in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not alone. I think everybody is a creator. But like I remember when I left my job. So I worked for 10 years in the business and I left and then I went to have dinner with the boss, he's a friend. We kind of grew up together. So we went out and he sat down. We hadn't seen each other in like 5 years. And I sat down with him and he's like, so what are you up to? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you always have stuff. You're always up to something. So what are you up to right now? I remember it being wrong, in my world. I remember how, oh, it's not a good thing. I can't tell people that I'm doing a lot of things because, people don't like that,
Yeah.
And now I'm like, totally the contrary. Now I'm like, yeah, no, I can do that. 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 Like my hands is like all over the place, which is super cool.
Yeah. So I remember it was like that because you were doing Dream It, Dare It, Do It, your podcast at the time. And I was like, okay, how do you do that? You just gotta go. You just, you were just like, you just gotta do this and click buttons and learn the process. And I love, that co-creation. And you're also co-creating now the Flow of Life community with Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, one, I love Georgia. Shout out Georgia. But talk to me about that. What is Flow of Life? How did that come about? What was going on?
Well, listen, Georgia and I did our super coach training together. That's how we met, right? And I remember, I think on the Saturday of the January call, we were like just walking around and we kind of looked at each other. It's like, I think we're going to do something together. We barely knew each other. Like, it was kind of like a fluke where I had nobody going to lunch with me, and we kind of went out, and I wound up with Georgia. Like, how life just brings you what you need. And so we've been friends ever since, but we didn't know what we were going to do. And I've been a creator and she's a creator. Like, so she's seen me build my business. She's seen me build other people's businesses and, set up all of that. And she's very creative in the arts. Like, she's got, she paints and she writes and she does these colors. And we were like, wow, we're really both very creative, but in very different ways.
Yeah.
And so we started looking at, the nature of creativity and the inspiration. I'm the inspirist, so I'm always about inspiration. And so we decided that we were going to create a community, and we were just going to talk about the flow of life, which is, we're creators. And so now we have a group, so everybody, you can join the Facebook group. And then we're going to do every other week, we have a new exploration. On Monday, we have a new one. And the title, because we're making up titles, right? So the title for Monday is "You Don't Have to Know Where You're Going to Start." So that's what we're going to be exploring on Monday.
And so that's Flow of Life community. You could go on to your Facebook page or Georgia Facebook page and find it.
Yeah, and you can go also, the best place is go to my link tree. You're going to find everything on if you go to Instagram on my link tree, there's a link tree there. Yeah.
Got it. And what's kind of like been, just tell me like one little like beautiful thing you've seen as a result, like something that's happened in class or something like that. Kind of like just something that's just been beautiful as you've been playing with the Flow of Life.
Well, the thing that was really amazing to me that happened was in the last session, I actually sang a cappella in front of the whole group. And I haven't sang publicly in years, right?
Yeah.
Mind you, singing a cappella on top of it, right?
Yeah.
And that week we were exploring music and what it did for us and all of that. And I've been singing since I was a kid, but I stopped singing like years ago. And I just started again with Gary Stein, which came to your podcast, and he talked about the song share. So I had invited him, and basically people were like, okay, well, are you going to sing, Jasmine? And I said, yes. And I sang, and I had chills singing. And that was really amazing because I was definitely in the flow. Yeah. And I was definitely coming from a space of love and just like giving them the love of the words that were coming out of my mouth.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. You can really tell when you're fully singing something and when you're not.
Yeah.
Like, when that flow is there or when it's not. So that's super cool. So if you haven't visited Song Share, you must do it. Get out there and sing. I remember Gary said to me one time, I said, Gary, one of the scariest things ever for people is to stand on stage and public speak. He's like, no, stand on stage and sing. And I was like, oh, you got me. You got me. Like, you got me. You're right. Yeah. Like, yeah, no. Our mindset and money habits are closely connected. And when we understand them both, it can lead to life-changing improvements in our well-being. Money and Mindset with Bright and Brian is a podcast from Choice, and it's here to help you reshape your relationship with money. Tune in every month for inspirational and practical advice to manage your money better and to live with more joy and confidence. The Money and Mindset with Bright and Brian podcast is hosted by psychologist Bright Dixon and financial expert Brian Ford. Together, experts Brian and Bright discuss ways to grow your financial confidence and live happier, covering topics like, can money actually buy happiness? And how do you cure money anxiety? You can listen to Money and Mindset with Bright and Brian on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Truist.com. So from the Flow of Life community, also because you're in Quebec, Canada, you're also a major part or piece of the 3P French community. So talk to me a little bit about that. You don't have to say a couple words in French. Like I know, like, you know, French fries, French toast.
Rob, je peux te parler en français n'importe quand. Tu as juste à me le demander, puis je vais te dire plein de beaux mots d'amour.
What that mean?
I said, Rob, you can ask me anytime to speak to you in French, okay, and cool. I will give you a whole bunch of lovely words.
No, I just love my French toast and my French fries. That's all. I'm good. I'm good. No, but talk to me about that community. I know y'all have programs, y'all have like webinars going on. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, well, I met them at the 3P UK conference because when I went to the 3P UK conference, I saw that there was a French chat, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go see what's going on there. Yeah. And what's really fun is this, right? So there's the French from Quebec, and then there's the French from France. Like, you know, like there's a separation in my mind. There was a separation. And when I went to the community, I wanted to go see, because I was like, oh, you know, my French is not nice like the French, the French from Europe. You know, like I have this thing. It's a big thing. Anyways, I started talking with them, and we got to know one another. And I was like, you know, said, maybe I should get involved. And it's so funny because Marina went on stage and she started sharing how she's been doing this for the Spanish community. Mm-hmm. And as she was talking, I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's way too much for me. You know, like I had this whole thing going, but I joined the group. They have a Facebook group. So you can, you know, the French community can go and join. And I actually talked to Hervé today because he actually mentions that it's 2 a month. So we're going to have 2 discussions a month. And some of them are going to be like literally for a specific subject. Like on the 7th, next Wednesday, we're having one on anxiety. So we're going to be talking to anxiety and exploring anxiety in French, all in French. And then we have another one later in the month. And then we're going to be really talking about the principles and looking at principle of thought, the principle of consciousness, and the principle of mind. So we're going to be talking about specifically those things.
In French. That's so dope.
In French, yeah. And we just today created the Facebook page in French, and we created the Instagram in French. So we literally created like maybe an hour ago. So now we've got all of those tools that are in place. So we're going to start publishing, and that's going to be also in my link tree.
Okay, perfect. Man, that's out there working. And it's funny that I love how you're always doing a lot, but we talk about this often, but I do want you to speak to it. You said something a while ago that I just always loved, and you were like, there's a being in your actions, like being in action, you know, like most times when we hear just be, most people think sit still or something, you know, but it's kind of like you've found a way with what you love to do in creating where you're being while you're in motion.
Yeah.
and it's impactful. Like you said, you're building businesses. There's so many podcasts that are out now. Thumbnails come from you,
Yeah.
or things like that. Like, talk to me about that balance. When did you kind of see that was going to be your way of doing things?
I honestly, I don't know when I saw it. I have to admit that I'm working on my website right now, and I'm kind of like, okay, what is it that I'm doing? So I've been sitting with what is it that I'm doing? Because
Yeah.
what I'm noticing is that when most people call me, they think, okay, I want to go on social media, right? And then they've got a lot of thinking around social media. So if I do Instagram, I have to do it this way. If I do Facebook, I have to do it this way. If I do TikTok, I have to do it this way, right? And there's this whole lot of how to do it that gets them into an overwhelm,
Yeah.
right? So the first thing I do is kind of like get perspective. What do you want to do? So we kind of get clear,
Okay.
right? We just get clear. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to do this. Okay, here's the plan. We're going to do this. That's what you want. Yeah. Okay, good. Now let's get organized. Then we just organize things. But we've got, we're standing on a solid grounding of this is what I want to do right now.
Yeah.
And then we organize things and then we get going. So we just organize and then we put it out in the world. And what's been happening is that once this is going on and they're in the motion, they get inspired. There's like this, all of a sudden a thought comes up. Oh man, maybe what if I do this?
Yeah.
And then we just go back to the beginning. Okay, you want to do that? Let's get clear. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, we could do that like that. Let's get organized and let's get going. And then we go, and it's this wheel that occurs where we're moving based on everything that we're creating.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're clear about what you're going to do, you just, it brings you into a flow. That's why the flow of life, really, if we think about it, it's like you're getting in a flow and you're like, okay, I'm doing this. Let's go. Let's do it. And as you go, because we're reacting in the moment, right? It's all about the moment.
Yeah.
Right. So something occurs to us when we're in action, something new shows up. Oh, wait, I could do this. And then you start doing something else, then you're in the action again, and then something new happens. And then so this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing all the time.
You know what? I just, when you were hand gesturing flow, I started running through my mind the different ways I've seen flow kind of like hand gestured.
Yeah.
And every one of them has an up and a down effect to it. No one has ever hand gestured or tried to describe flow as linear. And that's pretty interesting because I just saw that, like, oh, wait, even when we say flow, we do the up and down. We do all that because that's all part of it. It just doesn't go one way. But I had never seen that before until I saw your hand go like, wait, no, yeah, flow is the ups and it's the down and it's the ups again and it's the down. It's learning how to ride those waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So you still got your podcast. You got the Flow of Life community. You're helping with the 3P French community. Your clients.
Yeah.
Like I only got 24 hours. Okay. So so I don't know. Maybe it's what inspires us get. Maybe y'all get 26 or something. But like what are you seeing with your clients as you're, waking up to this as well?
What I'm seeing with my clients is that they're getting out of the way and they're creating their own creations.
Yeah.
Which is like super, super cool. I mean, look, let's talk about Joe Leahy. I mean, Joe, I helped her do her podcast and she's talking to the health community and she's having a lot of fun. And when she got to me, she was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And I just showed her how to do it and she's doing it on her own. And she sent me a message the other day. She's like, I can't believe I'm doing a second season,
Yeah.
and she's having a lot of fun. But I would have never thought of helping the health community in England, like I don't know what that is, but that's in her world. And she had that in her, like, so she's playing with that. I have another person, she's a therapist. She loves to talk about consciousness. So she's creating a podcast about consciousness, and she's talking to people about consciousness, and she's awesome at it, right?
Yeah.
So everybody has their own thing inside of them that will make a total difference in the world. Look, let's think about Eric Suniga, right? I mean, talk to Eric. Eric's not a client, right? But I brought him onto the podcast, and I was just like, okay, you have to talk, because nobody has the perspective that he has on human trafficking.
Yeah.
Right. So I love to bring somebody else's perspective to light.
Yeah.
And bring love in the world. It's time to bring love in the world. What do you think?
I'm with that. And
Yeah.
just on Eric, you can go out to trauma.imrobcook.com. Me and Eric did a 6 or 7 part video series on transcending trauma. It is we're getting some amazing feedback about it, but it's a total free resource. But just to help people, look in the direction of healing those wounds. Jazzy, you've been dropping them gems all day, but now I'm gonna put you on stage, kind of like, right? And we're at your keynote speech.
You
and
are.
the whole community is listening.
Oh my God.
And so if you could start with just where they could find you, and then after that, it's whatever, you just share your heart with the community.
Well, you can find me at coachjasmyne.com. And my Jasmine is written Jasmyne. You can find me there very easily, although my website is presently in construction, but it's coming. But you can find me anywhere as coachjasmyne.com. So you'll find me on Facebook, and you'll also find me on Instagram. And you can find me as Jasmyne DesBiens on LinkedIn if you're like a LinkedIn person. So DesBiens, DesBiens. And I just want people to live the life that they want. That's all I do. It's like, what do you want? Let's live the life that you want, not the life that you thought you wanted, not the life that your brother, mother, father, cousin, uncle, neighbor, anybody else wants, basically. And I love to help you shine. Show your light. Share your love. That's what I love to do.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. For more information about the podcast, please go to 3pgc.org. If you're looking for more information about how to become a practitioner, or you want to be featured on the show as a new, fresh voice in the principles, send us an email at info@3pgc.org. We'd love to hear from you. Knowing there is no end or limitation, nor are there boundaries to the human mind, have the day you deserve.